Most people don't get burned when requesting accommodations because they ask for the wrong thing. They get burned because they ask without having a plan. In this video, I'm going to show you what you need to consider before you go to HR or your manager. Hi, I'm Tamika, and welcome back to Black Girls Unmasking. And on this channel, I help Black neurodivergent women navigate life and work on their terms. So if you're a Black neurodivergent woman and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or just unsure about asking for accommodations, this video is for you. So let's start here. One of the most common things I hear a lot that's really causing concern is people copy and pasting other people's accommodations, asking things like, what accommodation did you request? Girl, can you share your list? How did your therapist or doctor write your letter? And I get it. I understand why, because you're trying to survive in these work environments. But accommodations are not a copy and paste thing. And here's why. Because what works for someone else could actually backfire on you. Because accommodations don't only consider your needs, they also consider the workplace culture, the manager, the team dynamics, all of that, and especially how bias shows up in your workplace. So instead of copy and pasting someone else's accommodations, here's what you may want to answer for yourself. What is the barrier I'm experiencing here? What outcomes do I need? And what changes actually remove that barrier? Answering those types of questions actually helps you develop a plan. Here's another part that most people don't realize. Sometimes you think you're making a simple request or just stating a preference. Like, I work better with written instructions. Can we have fewer meetings? Can I have flexibility on those deadlines? But the moment a leader starts to connect that request to something like ADHD or autism or just a disability in general, especially in writing, you may trigger what we call in HR the interactive process. And you can trigger it even if you never use the words reasonable accommodations. Once that process is activated, things start to shift behind the scenes, a lot of times without the employee knowing. HR may be talking to your manager, having sidebar conversations. Your manager is likely being coached on how to lead you. Emails may become more formal, and documentation patterns can change very quickly. That doesn't mean you should never ask for support, but it does mean that you need to know what you're activating so you can move intentionally. Now, I want to say this next one very clearly so you understand. Accommodations won't automatically protect you, because here's another thing I keep hearing in our community that I believe will lead to trouble later. Even if your accommodations are approved, that doesn't automatically make you safe. Sometimes accommodations help and things start to improve. But sometimes the approval is just the beginning of a shift that often doesn't go in our favor. More monitoring. Now all of a sudden there's more feedback. The tone is a bit more formal, whereas before it was relaxed. More focus on your errors, more performance conversations that are likely being documented, especially for Black neurodivergent women, because bias can interrupt needs and be labeled as problems. So the goal isn't get accommodations and relax. The goal is get accommodations and stay strategic and stick to the plan. So for this reason and many more, this is why I don't believe in generic scripts, because what's safe and effective depends on your role, your manager, what's been documented in the past and what hasn't, and the culture you're in, right? All of those things are very nuanced from person to person. But here's something I want you to take away from this. Your first move, or even your next one, needs to be the lowest exposure request that solves that, whatever that barrier is. So if that doesn't work, then you decide intentionally whether or not to go ahead and open up a formal accommodations request. That's why strategy matters way more than a generic template. So to recap, remember, don't copy and paste somebody else's accommodations. Know how your wording can trigger what's going on behind the scenes. And accommodations don't automatically make you safe. And it's not the time to relax. If anything, you are more vulnerable at that point than anything else. So having a plan, an ongoing plan, is going to be critical. So before you go, if you're watching this thinking, okay, I need help figuring this out because I'm not quite sure what to do. And I want to make sure I'm making the right move for me. That's exactly what I do. So I offer one on one sessions that I can help you navigate these situations at work, whether to disclose or not, how to ask for accommodations or additional support without putting more stress on you. We'll assess your situation, we'll talk about some options, and help you determine your next move. So if you want details, comment clarity in the comments, and I'll send those details to you. And if this video helped you, make sure you subscribe, like it, so you can be the first to know when we drop more videos in the future. So in the meantime, make sure you keep moving. Let's keep unmasking together, and I'll see you in the next one.